All right, welcome back. We have a couple more pens in front of you. These are a couple Parkers. Again, I'm kind of doing two just to kind of get a couple done at the same time. And these are kind of like going on the theme of the last video in terms of like lower tier pens from a certain maker. These are a couple of like lower tier or thrift pens from Parker. And this one may seem rather generic and just kind of a cigar shaped one, but this one is a Parkette, Parker Parkette. Kind of definitely a thrift pen, a little bit cheaper, coming out after the dual folds did. But this one I kind of pre-did the other day before I kind of slowed myself down to say, hey, let's do this on camera. And I'll just kind of show you this one real quick and we'll talk about this other one, which is kind of why I wanted to do the video, because I got this recently and I want to see what it can do. But yeah, the Parker Parkette, very simple. We just knocked out the nib just like the other one, and this looks like it is a stainless steel plated nib. You can kind of see some of the coloring going off. So Parker did do stainless steel nibs. We have the cigar body, and I'll show some of this stuff a little bit better later. Here is the J bar. Came out pretty easy. It looks like it's still got some spring in it, so I'm going to just polish it up, reuse it. And then the last part, which is, actually, let me just show this real quick. This is the cap liner that kind of was old enough, just popped out of this thing, so I'll have to glue that back in. A little Gorilla Glue or something will just be all I need for that. But the thing I've done with a few pens now is I've been pushing out, because I think I got lucky one time, so maybe a little bit more bold to do it. Is pushing out the levers. This way I can really get a little bit more, better polishing around the lever bar area, and maybe do a little bit better polishing on some of these levers themselves, or if I need to plate, maybe I can plate them a little bit better. But all this is, just like the Eversharp Skyline, if you go back to that video, it's, this little ring through a couple holes in the lever, and there is a notch along here in the middle of the barrel in which that ring sits. So generally you can give it a little try, but you don't have to like kill yourself to do it. If you give a little downward and forward pressure, that should pop out, especially as some of these cheaper ones, like some of the celluloid will spread, and you'll get that lever box spread where it kind of opens up. That might give you a little bit of play to be able to push some of these things out easier. But again, I have tried it on other pens, and it just, for the life of me, I just can't get it. But it's worth trying if you want to try to clean things up a little bit better. But certainly, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it, kind of a thing. So let's set that one to the side. Just classic black pen. Might as well show the clip. Very just simple, generic clip for Parker. That's it. And maybe I can show the imprint a little bit. Maybe. I'll get the China marker in later. We can take a look at it. But this one's quite simple. And the other one I want to do is another thrift pen. This, I think it has a couple names. It's actually marked here as the Premier, Parker Premier, which I'll double check, but my gut is I think that's maybe more of a Canadian name for it. I think I've come to know these as the Duette. But it's a really nice celluloid. They have some cool colors. This one's probably a little oxidized with age, so who knows if this is more of a cream or a green originally. I guess I'll have to find out what came out, but it looks pretty green and a little bit darkened here and there, but overall good. This one has some pretty decent wear to it. If you can kind of get it, you can kind of, maybe in the glare, you'll just see all the little fine wear marks that I think should polish out pretty well. We have the clip, which is a simple Parker one, and these are held in place by a rather thin cap top. So just cheaply made, not the big ebonite caps of the dual folds, but that's it. I'll just put it back on for now until I get to polishing. But usual kind of Parker ball clip, nothing special there, simple cap ring. And this one I did see, luckily early enough, if I can find it, there is a crack in this one. They'll have to be mindful of. Pretty sure I found one. Well, maybe. Well, yeah, it's very subtle. It's a very small one right there. I don't even want to press it to open it up, but it's very subtle. I can feel it. with my nail, but yeah, I can see it go up to the cap band. But if you can't see it, it must be very minimal. Here's the nib. It's kind of a smaller nib. What's going to be nice is it's going to be a little more flexy. It is a cheaper lower tier one, so these are thinner nibs in general. And then this one looks like it's going to open up a little bit, so that'll be fun. And if I can, I don't know. Ooh, guess I won't be able to do it on camera. I thought I had pre-done this one, but maybe not. But otherwise, there's the button filler, and we can take out the button and see we have a pretty decent pressure bar, a little bit, you know, corrosion or oxidized down here, but it looks like it's gonna be springy and usable. And there's some sack to get out, so I thought I had this pre-opened so I could just knock it out, but that's what I'm gonna do. You've seen this 1,000 times. Again, knockout block, little rods or dowels or whatever you got, and pound it out. So I'll work on that, and I'll come back with these things a little bit polished and just kind of show them off real quick, and then we'll get them back together and do some writing and talking. I'll try to make this one fairly short. Oh, and the other thing I will say about this one I noticed is the cap. This is very, like, not super tight on there. I can get it to start, but it will over twist quite fairly easily and just come right off. So it's, yeah, it doesn't have much grip in terms of the threads. And I guess I'll try to do one little fix that I know sometimes works for these, and I'll kind of address that when we get to after the polishing. I'll do all the polishing. I'll see if I can address it. So that might be the little tidbit from this video. But yeah, let me go ahead and take a pause and come back with some polish. All right, let's go ahead and put one of the pens back together. I have the Duette done, just kind of polished up, and we'll get everything put together, and then I'll kind of do a little more close-up when we get to the writing sample, just to save on time. But what I have here is a size 18 sack. Let's go ahead and size it up. It's going to go all the way down, kind of be just below the level of the lip of the barrel. So really, I'll just give myself a little bit of extra and take away the friction fit part of the section. We'll just cut it there. There we go, nice and flat. Let's get that out of the way. We will take our nib and feed. Kind of cleaned up nicely, got a lot of schmutz off of it. And we'll line up the shoulders up near the top. Kind of got it right there. I'm gonna grip it nice and tight and just press it straight down. There we go. It's coming all the way down. Make sure it's all lined up. This one twist a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna just go ahead and choose to make it flush. Pretty much flush with the bottom. That leaves a good bit of the nib. Comes down just to the bottom of the imprint, and I'll kind of see where it is, what it is when I have my loop, and just kind of read it before we do the reveal. But that'll ensure that it'll be low enough. It's not going to be high in the caps when I put it on. It won't be caught or twisted. Oh, I almost forgot actually, since we're at this part of the video. Let me take a pause and get one more thing I was going to do for this particular pen. Okay, here we are. I got what I needed, but let's go ahead and finish up the sacking part, and then we'll deal with this, because this made me think of the height of the barrel, and I'll tell you why I thought that. So let's go ahead and grab the shellac. Dab it on. Be a little generous. There we go. Sorry, I forgot the frame for a second. Slide this guy on, give him a little bit of twist, get everything in there smeared evenly, and whatever squeezes out, I'm going to push up against that rim, and then maybe just wipe a little bit off the section part, the friction part, get him back up, lined up. Okay. Let's take our talc. Load him up. Let's get that there. So, okay, so there's the sacking part. So the part I want to address is the fact that this cap, if we noted early on, like it kind of gets on there, but it, well, the section's out, maybe it's had some heat. It's not the tightest thing. It doesn't thread on super well. Actually, now that the section's out, it kind of is. Let me do something. Let me slip this in and just see if I even need to do what I'm about to think I need to do. Decently tight. Okay, and we'll see how it caps. Yeah, okay. It's basically not catching or barely catching, so I am gonna try it. I'm not gonna lose anything by doing it, so let's just go ahead and, oh, do I have to go back to the hairdryer? Oh, fortunately I do. All right, one more pause to get the section back out. All right, here we are. So I'm kind of curious why when the section is in, it doesn't seem to want to catch. When the section's out, it does want to catch much better. So the only guess I have is maybe with the section in, I mean, it's going to push out a little bit, so get some focus, of the section, this kind of part, because you can kind of subtly see there's a little bit of a taper towards the top of the barrel. Like just here, it seems to taper down a bit. So I'm wondering if getting the section in expands that a little bit, but expands this part a little more so that the cap's not able to catch. And this is totally a guess. I could be totally wrong, but it seems to make a difference whether the section is in there or not. So what I'm going to do, and this is not anything you should really ever do aggressively, and I don't even have the best sandpaper to do it, but I'm going to grab some sandpaper. This is 400 grit, fairly gentle so that you can take your time. What you wind up doing is you are trying to take off a little bit of the top threads, because what tends to happen a little bit in the cap, but also generally here, the top threads wear a little bit more than anything else. So if you can kind of shave off a little bit of a level to get to a little bit lower of the threads, you'll have a little less shrinkage and a little bit more thread to grip onto. Generally, it's worked for me in the past. Sometimes it doesn't seem to make a difference, but other times I've gotten low enough and I've been able to catch it. So it can be a way to salvage a pen that doesn't seem to cap well. And so what I'm going to do is like place this down flat, level surface, because you don't want this thing to kind of be worn at an angle or off or anything. So the best you can do to have a level surface and just go slow. And I wonder if having it wetted might do a little bit better. There we go. I'm gonna get a little bit of water, just see if that helps it slide a little bit better. So I'm just gonna do a few passes, nice and slow. Try to go circular, or at least mindful of all my directions. There, and not do very much, just a little bit at a time. And this may be a little bit of a trial and error, since I might not see the difference until I put the section back in. But this, nice and tight. And honestly, just for the sake of the video, and what you can also do just to make sure you get a smooth surface of this part, is you can take your micro mesh and kind of do the same thing. Just make sure you didn't create any like burrs with a sandpaper or something with a much lower grit than what you're doing with the micro mesh. So let me just take a few of these, just to kind of work it down and make everything smooth. And then I'll try and put this section in, and we'll just see where we are. And if I feel it's doing something, I might take a little bit more, but just kind of repeat the process. And this is, the micro mesh is also kind of giving me a little bit more of a takedown, just much less aggressively than the sandpaper did. And I wouldn't do anything really like coarser than 400 to 800 range. Something's just going to be very subtle and slow. That way you won't go taking it all the way down. And then we just kind of go through the micro mesh pad, might as well. There we go. And 12,000, last one of my set. Okay, so there we go. Theoretically, I still have it level. And let's go ahead and just see what we have. I'm just going to slide it in any which way. Still nice and tight. I can still get a nice tight seal where the barrel meets this section. And let's see what happens. I think it's catching a little bit. This time it's starting to catch because I can go the opposite way to see it would let it engage. I feel it, I turn it, and that's definitely catching, but I can still kind of bend it and get it to come off. So it's catching better than it did. So I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive. I'll do it off camera since you kind of get the idea. We'll come back and I'll show you what I kind of feel comfortable stopping at. Okay, so let me show you where I wound up. I did this a total of 4 times. I think that was the first 1, 2, 3, 4. So I kind of did slow 4 times, and I got to the point, and I just kind of left it in, to the point where if I could lock it in, it's going to catch. I'm pulling, it's strong, and I have to wiggle it. It's even hard to wiggle it to get it out, right? So I think that's a much more secure cap. I've done what I felt is like the minimum possible to kind of shave it down. And I kept it pretty darn flush, right? I'm trying to make this as invisible as possible, as minimal as possible. And I think I did a decent job. So that's kind of the way that I've learned to do this particular fix. And sometimes it might not work. It depends on the warping of the barrel or how, if the rest of these things are pretty worn out, you kind of just have to use a judgment call, or at least if it's not capping, maybe it's one that you try it on just to kind of see how it works. If it's a pen that no matter what, it's just going to have no cap to it. So it might be worth trying it on a spare pen, maybe something cheap. Let's go ahead and finish a couple things, and we'll call this one ready while the other one gets plated and finished up. Let's go ahead and, schmutz there. Put the clip on. Easy as press it down. I like to line it up between the 2 breather holes more or less. Tighten that down. That's secure. Okay. Yeah, a little off. Okay, that's good. Yep, I like it. And that's still on nice and level as well. It's a straight pen. And we shall slide the newly shined and polished pressure bar. There we go, up along the side. Let it catch on. Have that little tail exposed while the hook keeps it right there. And we shall see what the button does. Slide that on, press it in, and seems to press. We'll see how it fills. Seems to have a little bit of play in between the, oh, there we go. This guy, let's see if we can do anything. See if we can maybe bend him up a little bit to see if I can give him a little bit more room in there. There we go. Bend him up, nice and easy. So he's much more straight. Okay. And back off to the side. Probably didn't do a ton, honestly. And we'll pop the button. And yeah, it barely did anything at all. And there are little extenders you can do, I think on, what's it called? Vintage Pens. David Nishimura's site. I think he has little extenders that I think they shrink or they slip on, that you can extend the tips of these a little bit. So an option, but that would probably work. And we'll see. And there's this guy, all done, shiny, looking pretty good, but we'll wait until the end to really show him off. So I'll take a pause here, finish up the other pen, and we'll see what we're working with. All right, here we go. Let's jump into the Parkette real quick. We'll just get it together, and I'll kind of briefly show my plating stuff, but we'll do a better look when we get it ready for the writing sample. But let's just get this guy back together. And I think the part I want to show is really getting this lever and ring back into the barrel. Let's see how good I can do it on camera. But oh, and actually this may take a trial and error because I didn't pay enough attention, but there are 2 holes in this, so let me see if I can figure out which hole to use. There you go. All right, I'm just trying to line it up to see which one. So I think I'm going to use, there you go, this one closest to the end, so that one. And we'll see. I may just have to take it out and redo it, but I think that lines up pretty well. So throw that in, just loop it on, no big deal. And grab the alligator forceps, and I did have to get a new, oh, that's the old pair. Mine broke, so temporarily I taped the end so it could hold itself together. But what did I do with, oh, there it is, hang on. Oh, it's over by my other spot. There we go. Sorry, my hands are a little bit inky because I've just been taking apart a few other pens to kind of start working on. So let's go ahead and show what I would do to get this back in. So getting this lined up so that the open areas at the bottom have as much space to play here as I can. I'm going to kind of gently take it here. I don't want to grasp it like on the sides. I don't want to bend this thing, so I'm kind of snaking, putting it, kind of in the clip so I can hold the side. That's what I'm going to do, so I don't crimp and crush the lever itself. But I think it gives me enough sturdiness that I can push it back in. And let's see, I'm going to try to line it up. Here we go. I'm just going to go straight back, and I'm going to try and, usually I have a toothpick or something to help me. I'll just use these little tweezers to make sure I get the lever to come up and out so I can grab it. And I'm going to let go of that, get rid of everything else. I'm just going to start working it around, trying to see if I can let it catch itself into the groove. And this might be a trial and error process. Oh, there we go. Snapped right in. You probably heard that, I hope. Lays down, nice and flat. And that is it. And I like it because it allowed me to really just polish this barrel and not have to move this thing around too much. But not necessary, but it's nice if you can do it. And I have kind of messed up some lever bars trying to get these things out. So not the greatest thing to do. If it's easy, great. If it's not, don't force it. So let's go ahead and get this stuff out of the way. Let's put the lever bar back in, polish it up. Looks pretty good. And this one's quite simple. We'll just push it all the way to the back. I think this is the right one, right? I hope not. Was this the one? Oh. Let me see if I can. It wasn't really. I'm going to open it up a little bit at the bottom so it has something to push against, because it just kind of fell right back out. It shouldn't do that. Is that better? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Did I put the right one in the right one? I'm scared. Maybe this one actually went to the Duette. You know what? I'm not entirely sure. Let me try this one more time. And then I might have to go back and look at my video and see, did I put the right one in the right pen? There we go. Yeah. And watch it. I'm not happy with how that lined up. Oop. Don't drop it. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. This is the cheap side of the Parker pen line, so it might not be the best fit overall. So I think it's doing what it needs to do. So let's just go with that. If I need to adjust after the video, I'll adjust after the video. No big deal. Let's go ahead and line up the nib. I'm putting the feet right up to the shoulders and pushing in. There we go. Okay, a little bit more I think would be nice. And I might need to use a little bit of heat. It's getting really tight right there, so I'm going to go ahead and take a break, use a little heat, push this down a little bit more because I'm kind of scared I'm going to crack this. So let me take a break. Okay, I did a little bit more pressing with the heat, and I sunk that little curve just below the level of the end of the section. So it should be okay. And one way to check is to carefully, let's put it in, tighten it. That's good. And I'm going to put my nail right there just to see how close we are. And it looks like we have space from the top. And yeah, let's go ahead and take that back out. And I just realized as I was doing that, you may recall that there was a little cap liner that fell out. So what I did was use my Gorilla Glue, coated the edge of that little cap liner, just placed it in there. I had a cup or something, I forget what I put it in, but just something to keep this upright, allowing that to sit. I tamped it down the cap liner, just something to kind of push it all the way forward. And then I took some Q-tips and just reamed out anything that wasn't the cap liner, just anywhere that the cap liner could have touched, and smeared glue. I just wiped it so that, you know, there's not going to be any glue in the threads or anywhere else in the cap. So there's a newly glued cap liner in here just to make sure I address that. Just go ahead and size you up. And I forget if this is a size 18 or 17. I kind of pulled this out the other day and I kind of already forgot what it was. But let's go ahead and take off the section a little bit more, and we'll cut you down. I squeeze this thing super flat, take my time, and then cut. One swift cut. And that was a little bit not level, so I'm going to fix it. That looks pretty good. That's better. Let's go and shellac it in place. Squeeze it and press it down. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of shellac out. I'm going to push that back into the seam. Let that be. That's one of the cleaner ones. And here's my talc. Make a mess, of course. That's what I do. Oh, that was a lot. Well, here's what we'll do. Take advantage of that. And we'll line up the nib and the lever. Luckily this section is movable. It's tight, but it's not too tight, so I can fix this easily. We'll rotate. And if you find that it's tight but it is loose, you can always put just a touch of shellac onto this section so that it kind of sticks to the barrel, just to kind of give it some security. But this one I think is okay. Like, it's definitely loose, but this is not just like going to rotate, so I think it'll be okay. So let me go ahead and clean up my mess, and we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about the Parkette and the Duette, and we'll get rid of all this extra stuff. So there it is. See you in a few minutes. All right, welcome back. We have everything finished up. It's been a few weeks. I took a little bit of time away, worked on some other stuff, but we're back with the two pens. And let's just kind of show them off. Let's do the Duette first. And we can see it shined up pretty well. This one does have the kind of oxidation and just celluloid color change over time, where the cap and the barrel are a little bit different in color. And honestly, I'm trying to decide what the original color would have been. I'm going to guess maybe whatever's here under the cap. So this kind of maybe darker brown. And I'm going to assume it may be oxidized to this more greenish color. But I don't know if I looked over on my piece of paper. Do I have the original colors for some of the Duettes? I don't think so, because there are quite a few, so I don't think I wrote them all down. I may have to do a little text block in the video to say maybe what this color was. But I think this one overall turned out pretty well. We have the little cap jewel up top, not cap jewel, but I'll call it a jewel, like whatever kind of holds the clip in. Turned out pretty smooth. Oh, actually, I don't know. Maybe this is the color. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Anyway, simple kind of ball clip. Parker looks pretty intact overall. Just quickly looking at it, I don't see any gold plating loss. And we have a slim cap band down here. And it is nicely in place, so still firm. And that's got some nice kind of depth to that celluloid. It's got some chatoyance, a word I learned by watching pen videos, that kind of like shimmery depth of color. Chatoyance is kind of how I think of it. Looks like a little gold flecking in there. So overall, really nice, really deep, kind of complex. And here we go. Let's move down to the nib. And I'll see if we can get the imprint. Maybe, maybe not. You can at least see Parker, pen, made in USA. And I'll roll it for a second to see if you can see it. It's a fairly small nib for the pen. It's one of those normal size pens, tiny nib kind of situation. I guess that's kind of a way to make it cheaper. It is a, here we go, kind of a thinner nib, not their main line. So again, keeping in line with this being more of a thrift time kind of pen. So it's a little thinner, but it still feels pretty solid. Not as flimsy as some I've seen, but it's a little thinner. And then we have our section, classic, simple, and we'll have our same barrel. With this one has a little Parker Premier. I think this is the Canadian name for the Duette, maybe. Actually, don't let me not get ahead of myself. But this is Parker Premier, and I don't think I got anything else with the China marker. That might just be it. And we come down here to the blind cap, a little stepped off, and we have the nicely shined brass button. So, boom. Oh, pretty good. I like this one. And if you like, again, I haven't reviewed my video, but this, we did do that extra little step to kind of shave off ever so slightly the top of the barrel so that we could grab the cap with our threads, and it seems to be doing pretty good. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but this is a great way. I might actually make a standalone video with another pen just to kind of put this information out there, not have it buried in some other video, but a nice little thing I learned along the way. And here's the Parkette, a classic little black pen, cigar shaped, very simple, Art Deco-ish streamline. And in terms of Parkettes, very excellent condition. So let's go ahead and show this little Art Deco, kind of the patented kind of stamped clip. Nothing special, ball with a little hump, two slim cap rings. We have our nice rounded top. Undo it and we'll see how my gold plating did. This one does say Parkette on the nib. I think made in USA and number 3, if I think I can see that with my eyes. But I think the plating turned out really well on this one. We'll go to the bottom. Simple feed. We've got the ink view in here, kind of popular at the time. And classic black body. This one polished up really well, excellent condition. Replated of the nib, not nib, but the lever. And we have, here we go, made in USA, Parkette. What's that say? By Parker Pens, Janesville, Wisconsin. And I bet that's a date. Maybe that's a 7 in there, so maybe a 1937 or something like that. I'd have to get my loop down. It's a little too small for my eyes. But overall, really nice. And these were also replated as well. 18 karat gold, because that's what I have. So it's a little more of a richer yellow and not the kind of slightly paler 14 karat gold. So whenever I redo it, they tend to be, I guess, a deeper yellow, just like that. So let's go ahead and, am I zoomed out? Let's get out a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna grab a pad. I'm gonna do some learning real quick. So let's go ahead and grab some ink. I just happen to be using, this is a, I think it's Herbin. Yeah, Jacques Herbin. This is an emerald, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna say emerald. There's something like that. I'll just show it so I don't butcher it, but this is what I've been using lately, and I kind of like it, actually. And I think on my paper over here, I have Parkette. I wrote down the notes for Parkette first, so we'll start with that one. And we will do the fill. Yep, there we go. And we'll wipe. Let's take a look at that ink view. You can see it is now opacified, so we have ink in there. And there it is. So let's just talk about the Parkette a little bit. I kind of kept it brief. I don't want to make these videos too long, so it's more brief. I'm not going to go over every little detail, but let's situate. Maybe in here somewhere. We can start here, and I'll adjust in a second. All right. And it picks up. Nice. All right, so Parkette. What did I write? So let's go set the scene. This is the Depression era, so about 1929. The World War II, we'll say the Depression. And so what happened here, and this is kind of a fun bit of history. So when the Depression hit, markets tanked, and so there was a flood of pens into the market. Companies were trying to get money, save money, liquidate their stocks so that they could, you know, avoid closure or get as much money as they could. So all their pens became really cheap. And so to kind of deal with that, because Parker did not want to backtrack, they did not want to lose their status of having nice, expensive pens. I mean, their dual folds were not cheap. These were $8, $9, $10 pens when a cheap pen would be like less than $1, right? So these are like status symbol pens, and they didn't want to suddenly have to flood the market with their pens to make money. So they didn't want to say, hey, here's a dual fold senior that you could have gotten for $8. I'm going to give it to you for $4. You know, they want people to suddenly feel that the pens they had bought and had are cheap. So they started making low-cost models. And one of the early ones was the pastel, which is kind of like a, more, I'll just say, fun colored dual folds. Kind of generally lady sized, I think they were. And then they actually did what they rarely do, actually, is they made, it's not really made a Parkette, but they made a lever fill, filler. It is kind of like one of those things that once you read it, it dawns on you like, oh yeah, all the mainstream kind of good Parker pens, they're not really ever lever fillers. It's the cheaper ones that they did with the lever fillers. That was kind of more of a Schaefer thing. And so they were hitting the market with these, and they were kind of targeting kids, because, you know, kids are still going to have to go to school. Kids are still going to have their pens, and of course kids are going to break their pens, lose their pens, things are going to happen. So let's market and keep things cheap and see if we can at least get this market. And this actually proved fairly successful. So after a year or two, they moved into bigger production and called this the Parkette. And of course the Parkette, I think, generally just black, plain, cheap pen, right? So with the Parkette, they said, all right, let's invest in the line. Let's kind of make sure we can sell it to people. And so they kind of diversified the colors. They did black, burgundy. What else I have? I have, oh, burgundy and black marble. What else do we have? Gray, black, red marble. Gray, black, and red marble. And also green marble, which actually may be what this is. I'll call this maybe green marble. And so they did this some, you know, various iterations over the years. After every year or two, they would like change something, maybe change the clips, the cap bands, and they would change kind of, what would I call it, like the cap and barrel step-offs, I guess. And I guess I'll just kind of say, and I probably will show some pictures in the video, but you know, you went from having like cap bands at the top just to kind of make it fancy, then you get like a little stepped, squared off edges. You go with rounded edges like that, with like this with nothing on it. So it's a little bit of just kind of progressing the design to make them look different. So you can maybe want to go like, oh, let me pick up the new one, kind of a thing. They even had a, what do they call it? How do you spell it? Deluxe, just like the dual full line, the Deluxe line, which these are fluted. And I wish I had an example. I didn't think to pull this one out, but basically it's kind of like a faceted. It's facet, 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 just like that. So that was their kind of higher end. What else we got? I kind of wrote down something about 1938. They redesigned. They had arrow clips, pointed cap base. So yeah, again, the cap step off or pointed rather than that. They simplified the bands. They did a visiometer, which is what they call their ink views. Is that a 7? I don't know. Maybe it is. And then I have in about 1939, 1940-ish is when they discontinued the line. And that's, they made way, they changed the Parkette. Ooh, this I actually have off to the side, to a Zephyr line. And these had their own kind of like different colors and much more fanciful kind of pens. And then finally, even the Zephyr was phased out around 1941. Yep, right around that time we got into World War II. And what else do we have? I might just grab the Zephyr here in a second, or yeah, I guess I'll just grab them in a second. But overall, what do people tend to think? Ooh, a little drop right there. Fairly cheap. These are cheap. Oops. Cheap pens, low quality generally, or at least what a modern collectors think of it. They are prone to cracking, discoloring, breaking nibs. I'm going to say, I wrote brassing, but I'm actually going to also write corrosion. There's so many pens of these lines that I've just found like, oh, it kind of looks okay, but like their clip, their lever just corroded. What else did I write? Anything else? That's kind of it. I mean, I think I've had a few Parkettes come through. Some of them I've never restored just because they don't look great. A couple I think I do. I just didn't pull my extra Parkette-ish or Parko ones. I think I've seen a few more Zephyrs, But yeah, I would say that I agree with this assessment. The Parkettes, this is like the best one I think I've ever come across, and we'll probably wind up keeping it just because, like, hey, if I can find it, I'm gonna keep it. But let me just pause for a second, or at least, yeah, I'll at least just lay my microphone down. Actually, I will just pause, hang on. All right, I'm back. So I grabbed a few things. So let me go ahead and show the other, I guess I don't have another Parkette. I have this guy I salvaged. This one is one that lost. The clip has come off of it. Right there's the remnant of the clip. And it had a cap band right here that is gone. And I think there's something else going on with this pen. Is there a crack in the lip? No. Crack here? No, I guess that was it. But this one actually is, see if I can see it. This is a Parkette. This must be the green marble one, actually. Again, similar nib, kind of small. This says 14K Parkette nib on it. So see if I can show that, or at least attempt it. Can I get any closer? I'll kind of roll it, see if the, oops, stop the movement. See if you can see any of the imprint as I roll it. It does say Parkette. And yeah, here you go, here's that green marble. Looks pretty good, some depth to it. Little lever box spread, the lever itself not too bad. And a little spread to it. Thinner nib, does have a little bit of variation to it. But this is one I just kind of thought, you know, it's not perfect, but it's, you know, at least a Parkette, and it's not in terrible condition, so this is one I kept. This is a subsequent Zephyr. See, they got a little bit more fun with their celluloids. Again, also a lever filler. This has got some little brassing and corrosion, kind of what they're talking about. This one's actually not bad. A little same thing on the cap band, if I can get you to focus, and the clip. Here's the kind of pointed tips they were talking about. When they say pointed, that's what that would look like. And this is kind of like a rounded with maybe a conical tip, but I'd call that round. And if we see the imprint, there it is. It says Zephyr right there. You can kind of see it right there, Zephyr. And so what does the nib look like on this one? This one, I've actually got this one not too long ago. This one's all kinds of dirty, so it needs some cleaning up to be able to see it. But this is what a Zephyr would be. And I also pulled out, this is not a Parker, this is an Onward, but this is what I'm talking about with the fluted. And this is kind of a Parkette Deluxe knockoff. Even such that, you know, the Parkette would have like the gold band here that's just painted on. And you can kind of see, if I can get the glare, see how it's just kind of faceted. That's the fluting that they talked about. It's even present on the cap, and I think with the Parkette, I think when I've seen it, there's a little bit more smoothness right here, like it kind of smooths and then it's in the center. This one is not a great example, but a little crack in this guy, so I tried to save him. But anyways, that's just an example of the fluting, so we can get that off to the side. And so let me just kind of flip over, and yeah, that works. It didn't go, it's not too dark all the way through. Let me just do a quick writing and just, I mean, you've seen the writing, but let me just kind of critique what I'm feeling. Overall, let me call this guy a nice fine line. There we go. Am I good? Yeah, so it's fine. Looks fairly dry. Yeah, it's a dry writer, and I mean, this may be a dry ink, this Erbon. This nib itself is a little flexible. It's got some spring to it. It is that thinner nib, so it's got a little bounciness to it, which is kind of fun. And do the paces. A little bit of faint. That's pretty much keeping up. I think it would keep up with good speedy writing. And if I do the reverse, can you reverse? Not really. It kind of skips and loses itself. But as a quick, cheap writer, this is a pretty smooth Yeah, you feel the bounce a little bit when I do my signature, which, you know, I know when to press on my signature. It's a little bouncy. So this is a fun, cheap pen. Probably at the time would have been just fine, but you probably couldn't go your whole life with this pen, as I've seen. So I would say, as a cheap pen, if you find a decent one, this one's actually pretty good. It is. Let's do the measurements if I can. Can we see? There we go. Move my thing. Here we go. And if we cap this guy, he is about just shy of 5 inches. Just shy, 5 right there. And if I uncap him, let's go nib to tail is about 4.5 right there. If I move it to the section, functionally, it is about 3 7/8 right there. So medium-sized pen, not small, not big. Kind of a comfortable everyday pen for most people. So I'm glad I found this one. Parkette. If you find a good one, you can probably pick these up pretty cheap. I think it'd be worth it. Let me go ahead and move on to the next one. Let's get our, there we go, Premier, Duette, Thrift Time pen. It's got a bunch of names. And we can fill this guy up. Button, got some bubbles. There we go. And I wrote a little bit less on this one, honestly, just because I don't know, wanted to keep it brief. But let's go and let's zoom back in. There we go. Okay, taken off. We'll call this the Parker. We'll call it Duette, aka Thrift Time pen, aka apparently Premier. I think that's Canada. So what did I write for this one? Here we go. So this one was based on the Parker Pastel. This was the Pastel was a dual fold adjacent kind of model that used hard rubber. I believe, no, it's new plastic. They used their permanite rather than the hard rubber. And just use a bunch of different colors. So this is like, all right, cheap pen, colors got people into it. Let's make another line once we discard this one and try to use some new permanite and do some funky color stuff to see if we can get people into it. So, So apparently these Duettes, not widely marketed. These were mainly found in dime stores and couldn't find them in any catalogs. I'll say no catalogs. It was kind of their cheeky way of, you know, having pens in the wild, having pens in the market that were cheap, you could stumble upon, get that low cheap pen market, but not have to advertise your cheap pens so that you can still maintain your aura of respectability, of higher class, of better quality pens. It's kind of one of those sneaky things that they did. A couple different sizes. You have the larger, they called them gift size. What did I write? This is thrift pen. Oh, here we go. And you can distinguish those by the cap screw. That's what it's called, not the jewel cap screw. And these are plastic. And then there are the Duette Junior. And these have the cap screws that are, oops, not B, metal. What else I got? And these are the, we'll say the US designations. There we go. And if maybe I should zoom out a little bit. There we go. And then if we go up north a little bit, we have the Premier no E, sorry, Premier, aka the Senior. And then we have the Duette Junior, and this is what you would find in Canada. And there we go. And so not advertised early on until about 1932, when you can find them in catalogs. And what else did I write? Like I said, these are button fillers. Ball clip. These are gold filled. Let's do it that way. Am I still on screen? Right there. And also single cap ring, pretty uniform, keep it simple. And actually they call this pretty popular. This was a pretty successful pen for them. However, over time, this permanite proved to be brittle and would crack, and also is prone to discoloration, as we've seen with this guy. He's got kind of this mottled appearance. So maybe now I'm kind of backtracking. Could probably call this a green one, and this kind of browning might be the oxidation, but don't know. And then, even though, so I guess I didn't write down the beginning. Oh, I did, up at the top. So these came out about 1931, I think, and then they DC'd them, discontinued around 1933. So didn't spend a lot of time, I think, maybe just because they kind of moved away from their button fillers, kind of looked too dual foldy, maybe they just looked too old-fashioned. So a very brief run. In terms of thrift pens, I guess they went more the Parkette version with the lever filler. So maybe the button filler seemed a bit too old-fashioned, a little bit too hokey. So at least do the lever fillers, because that's what Schaefer did, and you could at least look modern with that, right? So there you go. And I should probably do some pictures in the video in terms of just showing the color and the variety, because I really fell in love with these pens just because, I mean, I think they actually look pretty cool, pretty simple. I like the button filler, but it's their celluloids, the plastic, whatever, that I really kind of like. And I pulled a few, and I'll just go ahead and show them off right now. Why not? So we've got this guy, which I'll call him maybe a green, maybe green and gold, green and marble. We've got this one, which, if you'll notice, the metal cap screw. This is just simple black, and you can definitely tell a size variation, both shorter and thinner. But you can again see ball clip, single cap band, just same thing, just smaller, right? Nice small nib. And is there an imprint on this? It does say something, actually. Let's just see what it says. If this is a US one or a Canadian one. It just says, well, I can tell you it's a US one. Just do it roughly. I'll clean this up in a minute. But all it just says is Parker, made in USA. So it doesn't really give a Duette, or doesn't say anything special on it. So here's a junior, and here's one that I've had for a while, and I think this may have been the first one I got. I like this one. This one is, can we get the color? Hope it shows up. But this is red with like kind of white marbly veins in it. I'm sorry, it feels kind of dim in here today. I don't have the sunlight. It's cloudy outside, but you can see how red that is, I hope. And this is what I think this is the first one I got. This is what made me fall in love with it. Maybe you could do a blind cap. You can see some marbling a little bit better. Yeah, and this one says, I can try the marker again, see if this is anything different. Oh, there we go. No, I think this one just says Parker as well. So there's probably a US one again. Yeah. Maybe you can see. Stop wiggling. Yeah, I think it just says Parker. Maybe you can see it. Nothing under it, just Parker. But first one, I love that one. I have this little guy that needs to be restored. This one really oxidized. Probably some kind of cream color. Not even sure, but this is one I'll kind of keep for myself just because it's so discolored. And it has Hedwig. Somebody named Hedwig on this one. That's kind of fun. And can I see what that says? And this is, oh, we have another name. This is a Moderne, M-O-D-E-R-N-E. I forgot about that name for this one, for this as well. So has yet another name. So so far we've got Duette, Thrift Time, Premier, Moderne, and apparently gift size, but who knows. Yeah. And here's one I just got. And I like the color on this one. I think I'll keep this one. This is what got me to it. And I'm just looking at the imprint so I don't have to shine it, but this just says Parker. But this one has a really cool color to it too. I like this blue. So you can see that they really got into some creative colors, I guess, with the Parkette and with these to really kind of get people to buy these cheaper pens. But got me, would have worked for me at the time, honestly. And let me get that pen back. And as you can see, like, I'm gonna start talking about how this pen writes. But this one's actually really fun. I like it. Again, cheaper nib, a little flexibility to it. So this one does feel bouncy right off the bat. So let's write here, and we'll go, there we go. We'll call this the Duette. It's writing kind of a medium line. And I hope you can see some, maybe the line variation, the way that just my writing on the other side was. But this one is going to start out large, fine, kind of medium-ish. And this one actually flexes quite nicely. This is actually really fun to write with. Super flexy. Wet as can be. Yep. And let's do the fast writing. I might need to work on the tip a little bit. It's smooth. I have a little bit of feedback right now. And when I go fast, I feel like I've got an edge maybe on this side. There's a little edge that I'm feeling. This way, nothing. This way, I feel a little something. So there's something I just have to look at. But get rid of that, line it up. This would be a nice, smooth writer. So I like this one a lot, actually. What else we got? We can do, oh, reverse writing. Reverse. Actually pretty smooth. That does it. That takes me down to a nice fine. So reg and yeah, more medium, almost juicy broad to fine on that side. And let's go ahead and get you guys some measurements. There we go. And for this one, just because of those threads, what I wound up doing just to make sure I catch the threads, I kind of go backwards till it slips in and then move it forward just to help preserve the threads a little bit. And let's move this a little, can I? There we go, you're a little tilted. That's fine. And capped, we're going to say that the standard or senior size, just about 4 7/8, just shy of 5 for 4 7/8. And we shall go nib to tip. I'm going to call that, what do I say, 4 1/4. So it takes it down a little bit, but still kind of comfortable for I'm average guy, 5'9", and it kind of gets right into the crook, so comfortable overall. And from the section to the tip is about just over 3 1/2. Let's go ahead and do the other one real quick too. Let's do are they both the same-ish size? Actually, this is a little bit different. Here's the Moderne. It's just ever so slightly bigger than this other junior, so a little bit of variation. So let's go ahead and do the US. We have, I'm going to say about 4 1/2 capped. We're going to say 4 1/8 ish from the nib, and from the section we'll call it 3 1/4. It's just shy of, just over 3 1/4 right there. And this surprisingly long guy is, we'll call it 4 1/2. We'll call nib, we'll call it 4 1/8, just shy, and then we'll call that 3 1/2. So a little bit bigger overall. So interesting, a little bit of variation. So not specific size. So a little bit of variation. And actually, since I'm doing it, let's see if I can find it and if I can fill it in so you can see. I do like getting these. Now, once I start picking up these China pens or pencils, I do like having it just so I can quickly see imprints. It just kind of makes it feel like it's a newer pen for some reason. Here we go. Let's get you up there. Yeah, Parker Moderne. Oh, and I see that looks like Canada. So maybe the Moderne is a Canadian name as well. Didn't say that in my reading, unless I just missed it. But anyway, so let's go ahead and line these two suckers up. Here we go. Here we go. Overall, some cheap Parker pens. I think you'll probably have some better luck. I think I've seen these. They're not super common. I do have a little alert set on eBay to let me know when they come through. So I don't see these too often. So they're not super common, probably because they talked about these being brittle and probably have some breaking issues over time. So if you see one, if they lasted, they might be of a better quality, hopefully. So try to pick one up. I think these tend to run around the $100 plus minus range. I mean, I don't know that they're like super hot commodities in the collector realm, but again, if they come up, they'll probably get gobbled up if they're any kind of good condition. So if you see one, $100 to $200 range is what I would guess. But look how well they clean up, and look what the kind of cool colors you get. So I think these are nice collectible variations of Parker, and definitely fun nibs, because I think this red one also a little bit of flexibility on that one. Let's go to the blue one. I'm just curious now. A little bit of bounciness. Yes, that's opening up a little bit. So probably some cheaper, funner nibs as well. So another reason to get these. So I would say the Duettes, Modernes, Thrift Time, whatever you want to call it, fun pens. Pick one up. The Parkettes, similar. These are not flashy, or at least I guess they are flashy, because you can get some, you know, Zephyr adjacent or something Parkette in these kind of flamboyant colors. So you can probably get them, but they're going to be harder to find in better quality. So if you see one, probably sub $100 range, 50 to 100, maybe a little bit more if someone's restored it for you. But you're going to get a simple, no-nonsense pen, maybe a little bit of color. I would assume plated nib, because this one was plated. Was it plated? No, I'm doubting myself. I did replate this, didn't I? No. Did I? Now I can't remember. Dang. Anyway, are they gold nibs? I really should have watched my video before I got into this, but pick one up. But be careful of corrosion, broken off clips, cracks, discoloration. So if you find one, get one. But otherwise, Parkette, Zephyr, cheap pens that you'll just have to stumble upon, but cheap enough to get and good enough to use. So with that, I will just kind of throw this here for good measure, show some pretty pens, even the non-Parker one, and eye candy. And thanks for sticking around. I will stop this one, and I'm going to go ahead and hop on and do some more videos. So I'm going to try to get some more out in the next few weeks, months, just some variety. And I will see you in a little bit.